Senator Murphy. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, members, Senate File 97 is the medicinal marijuana bill. It's been through several committees before. A lot of people on this committee have heard it in one committee or another, either this year or last year. So I think the guts of the bill are pretty much the same. There's no reported cases in the history of the world of anybody ODing on marijuana and dying. I mean, zero. And meanwhile, we're asking some of these families to deal with their sick and sometimes dying by using these narcotics that, and I think everybody in here has seen this, that just make the patient, they're not with you. I mean, we all know it. They got the glassy eyes and they're sitting there and they're half awake and half asleep. You know, it was like my dad. He didn't know what planet he was on the last few days. You know, and I know that end-of-life issues, people want to be able to at least, you know, say their goodbyes and be around their families. And you know, if we use heavy narcotics, they're not able to do that. With medicinal marijuana, there's good research to show that two things happen. One, sometimes they get relief, like the doctor's wife, and was able to kind of carry on without being so heavily sedated that she couldn't interact with her family. The other thing that it showed is that by using, for some people, by using a little bit of both, you know, it enhanced the effect of the, you know, whatever the narcotic prescription might be, along with the medicinal marijuana seemed to, you know, kind of, that spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down easier. So it kind of made it easier on them to take this medicine. So, you know, there's a lot of, I suppose, anecdotal stories out there that we've heard in committee, but they're real life stories. And everybody in here has been impacted one way or another within a life issue. So
we just think we have to weigh, though, the health risks to the community and society, which we feel will result from this passage of this bill. Obviously, there are situations where people feel that this is going to help them in their distress, but it was brought up, for instance, in Colorado, which would be comparable to Minnesota. There are about 5,000 people using marijuana for medical purposes, and we just think that there's a lot of potential for abuse in terms of the amount that can be grown. 12 plants. I've talked to people who have actually grown marijuana, and they say that that can produce upwards of 35,000 marijuana cigarettes or joints a year. And you're going to allow 18-year-olds to be growing this. You could literally have hundreds, even conceivably thousands of people growing marijuana across the state, and I think that's just going to make it more difficult to regulate and control and confine how it's produced and where it's going to be disseminated. And this is a dangerous drug. You know, people say, well, we've got alcohol, but I don't know that legalizing marijuana is going to address the problems we have with alcohol, but we think this is only going to make a bad situation worse. For instance, England has reclassified their drug, marijuana. They reduced the penalty criminally, but then they increased it because they saw all the problems resulting from it. So we just have concerns that this sends a wrong message to our young people. When you have marijuana, which is a dangerous drug, addictive, a gateway drug, now being treated as medicine, it's just going to send conflicting signals to our young people. So I think you have to look at the whole picture. It's not just those few people who obviously have gone through pain. And I can commiserate. I mean, I went through cancer myself this past year, and I know the pain involved, but I'm just concerned that you have to look at the big picture and how this is going to impact the broader community. So,
okay, a registered organization, Senator Murphy, that has to go through the Department of Health. Are there guidelines from the department about who can qualify to be a registered organization? Okay, if that's a yes. My next question, Madam Chair, would be on the felonies. Now, what is the felony if they are caught in possession with some marijuana? What is the current felony in law, and what is the felony in your? Are they the same?
No, Madam Chairman, right now, if you were busted for, you know, and you had 2 ounces of pot, it's not a felony.
It's a misdemeanor.
But if you're jacking around with this law and you're one of the registered organizations or an individual and you decide to sell 2 ounces to somebody, then it's a felony. And it's very clear in the bill under both of the, under all 3 places where it talks about, you know, what are the fines for going outside the parameters of the bill. The Department of Health didn't help us write this bill, Madam Chair and Senator, so I don't understand your question about what are they doing. They're not doing anything until we direct them to do something, so.
Any further discussion of the motion before us? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The motion does prevail.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members.
And with that, the meeting is